Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem El Shai Bashem Rakah Kodash. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. The only ones that will be delivered of Israel are the elect. Anyway, today's topic is entitled Ophir is an omen nomen for Babylon the Great or America. Because we're going to look up that word in the Hebrew, the word Ophir, to see what it actually means. And I'm also going to prove to you that Ophir, Solomon had ships go to Ophir. It was a 3-year circuit, a year and a half going, a year and a half coming back. That was a 3-year circuit from the Middle East, Palestine, Jerusalem, Israel, the land, to go to America. Now, you check out scholars, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to do that. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me go see what the scholars have to say. Bear me for a minute. Bear me for a minute. I'm trying to find the word Ophir. Let me do it this way. I mean, I know the word Ophir. I'm just trying to find it in the precept in the scriptures. Okay, in the navy of Hiram brought gold. Okay, let me try this. Let me go to Ophir. Just to see what the commentators have to say. All right, here we go. Forgive me for taking so long. Okay, good. Cambridge Bible for schools and colleges. Just want to see these guys chime in. They came to Ophir. There was not sufficient evidence to decide where Ophir was. The most probable conjectures have been Africa. It doesn't take a year and a half or a cycle of 3 years to go from Palestine to Africa and back. Doesn't take three years, a cycle from Palestine to India and back. Arabia is very close. We've been going into maps, right? Arabia, depending on what part of Arabia you're talking about, is not even 500 miles from Palestine. But on account of productions named in connection with the place in chapter or 1 Kings 10 verse 11, and the navy also of Hiram, that Hiram, Hiram is based upon, that's where you get the masons from. It's based upon the widow's son, Hiram Abiff, which he was a Canaanite, and he built the temple, Jerusalem, the temple, and he built the house of Solomon. The temple was built in 7 years, and Solomon's house was built in 14 years. So he had a tremendous house that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of almond trees and precious stones. Remember, America was a paradise before Esau came over here. Let me see. So this is what they say, right? They don't know if it's Africa. They don't know if it's, a lot of them will say it's Arabia, with the land of Havilah. Some say it's India. So I'm going to prove to you that Ophir is America. And just by the name Ophir, and we're going to read it in the Hebrew, and we're going to give you the definition of the word Ophir. It's another word. So when we talk about Babylon and spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom and Egypt, or Syria, or Tyrus, or the land of Edom, you can also call it Ophir. Because Ophir is a nomen, omen, a name sign, meaning this name means something going to happen based upon the meaning of your name. So I'm not going to make this long. So let's go to 1 Kings 9 verse 28. And they came to Ophir and fetched from thence gold 420 talents. Matter of fact, let me start from here. You know what? Let me start from 25. Okay. 1 Kings 9 verse 25. And 3 times in a year did Solomon offer burnt offerings and peace offerings upon the altar which he built unto Yahweh. And this right here shows you that our Lord is not equal to Yahweh, because at that time Solomon is Yahushai. And don't talk to this about to a Christian, because that goes way over their head. And he burnt incense upon the altar that was before Yahweh, so he finished the house. So remember, he had did that. The house of the temple was built, then his house was built. 7 years to the temple and 14 years to his house. And King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezion Gabar, which is beside Eloth, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. 27th verse. And Hiram, the Canaanite, the builder, the great builder, sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea. The greatest seagoers at that time were the Canaanites, which the Romans referred to as, or Greco-Romans referred to them as Phoenicians. That's the Greek way of saying Canaanites. It says hold up. No, it's just again. With the servants of Solomon, or the slaves of Solomon. Let me come over here. 1 Kings 10 verse 21 to 25. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold, none were of silver. It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon. In other words, the saying goes, price is no object. If you got to ask how much it is, you can't afford it. Well, he don't ask. He just get it from me. I want this. I want that. Put gold over this. Make this gold. Use this particular wood for that. Overlay it with no, not silver, gold. So, like I said, if you got to ask the price of something, you can't afford it. So no, and it says right here, he was the richest man. It says it right here in the 23rd verse, that he was the richest. Like you got Mensa Musa, the richest man in Africa. Well, they call him African Solomon, which had to be a Jake. Well, the richest man in the known world at that time was actually Solomon, but because he had a secret place where he got these materials from, and that's America. It says, for the king had a navy of Tarshish, with the navy of Hiram, which is his servant. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, which is Solomon's navy, right? So that was a 3-year circuit, bringing gold and silver, every ivory and apes and peacocks. So that, because remember, America was a unknown place, and this is before the Northern Kingdom came to the Americas. So he knew about it. That's the secret place that the Most High gave him. And that's why he was the richest man richest known man on earth. It's just like you have a secret thing where you can make gold. You got the goose that lays a golden egg. You got that, make sure nothing happens to that goose. And you keep getting them golden eggs, and you become the richest man in the world. And the richest man in the world, see, that at that time, he said, I'm the richest guy in the world. But in this time, like the Rothschilds might be the richest family on the planet. But they don't flaunt their riches. So it says in the 23rd verse, so King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Why do you think the Lord said in Matthew, I believe it's Matthew 12, around 40 some odd verse, 42nd verse, 44th verse. I'm not going to go to it. He said that the queen of the south shall rise up, and then the men of Nineveh, I'm merely paraphrasing, and he said that he's speaking about the queen of the south seeing Solomon, and that he said a greater than Solomon is here. So what do you mean by that? He was Solomon coming back. For the ones of you that don't know, recently, how can you guys prove reincarnation? Well, I'm speaking about Solomon, which came back as Yahushua. So why did Yahushua make that statement? He said, wiser than Solomon is he. I'm wiser than Solomon, because he came back righteous. He didn't fall off. Solomon, he fell off. You notice he didn't say the richest. He said he was a greater than Solomon in wisdom. He just said a greater than Solomon is here. I'm Solomon, the new and improved Solomon, so you can understand. So this is also reincarnation right here, which is another subject. I'm just touching on it. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which the Most High had put in his heart or mind. And they brought every man his presents, vessels of silver, vessels of gold, garments. Now, what does this make you think of? We're going to be the kings. Each one of us is going to be like a King Solomon. And when you go to Isaiah chapter 60, it speaks about the, not just 60, 60, 61, 60, 61, and so forth. It speaks about the forces, Isaiah 49, Isaiah 60, Isaiah 61. It talks about they shall bring the forces of the Gentiles, meaning they're just going to be paying us. They're just going to be bringing things to us. And we're going to be so rich that you're going to be crazy rich. See, Floyd Mayweather ain't rich. He's a welfare case to the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds are trillionaires. Always talking about, well, this guy's a billionaire. He's worth $50 billion. This guy's worth $100 billion. How much do you think the Rothschilds are worth? How much do you think the Rockefellers are worth? The Rothschilds, it was said that they're worth $500 trillion. They have complete control. I mean, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but you can read this. And then the next chapter goes into all the women that he had. Let's go to that. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, which is Canaanites. He went off on that. And Hittites, he went off on that. Because we ain't supposed to deal with no Canaanites. Of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will. And now you can have concubines. He had concubines. Mentions right here, concubines. King David had concubines. Reuben had concubines. I'm sorry, not Reuben. Jacob had concubines because Reuben slept with one of his concubines. So in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have concubines, but we're not going to marry the concubines. Okay, so now let's go over here. It says, so I put in Ophir in the Bible is in the America or the Americas. It says Americas. In a letter written in May 1500, Peter Matry claimed that Christopher Columbus identified Hispaniola, which is the island of Santa Domingo, the Dominicans and the Haitians on that island. This island's got a split in it. You got one side, you got Haitians, you got the other side, you got Simeon, Dominicans. But the island was called Hispaniola after Spain. It says Christopher Columbus identified Hispaniola with Ophir. The theologian Benito Arias Montano, 1571, proposed finding Ophir in the name of Peru. Peru, which is in the Americas. Remember, when Christopher Columbus came over here, he landed where? What part of the Americas did he land at? If my memory serves me correct, he landed in Hispaniola, which is the, Santo Domingo, the island that Santo Domingo, the Dominicans and the Haitians dwell. It says, reasoning that the native Peruvians, which are Israelites, were thus descendants of Ophir and Shem. Notice it said 1500, 1571. This is when they found a new world, and they already knew about the Americas. This was the fourth part of the earth, the fourth part of the world. So they knew that the people that they were enslaving were Israelites. So now let's go into. Now I want to go into the definition of the word Ophir. I'm going to show you that it's America. Then I'm going to close. What's going to happen to America? Or Babylon? It's going to be destroyed by what? By fire. And then it's going to wind up being, when the smoke is cleared, you're going to have, the only thing you're going to have left is ashes, which is a desert. Desolate land. Now we see that crystal clear. It says, Awapa Iwap Yar. Iwap Yar. What does it mean? Reducing to ashes. What's going to happen to this place? It's going to be reduced to ashes. So like I said, the sky, like right here, right? It says a land or city in southern Arabia, in Solomon's trade route, where gold evidently was traded for goods. Well, wait a minute. Let's go to the map. Now we got to come over here. Where are we? And come back down here. By the way, Gaza is right around here. To get into Egypt, we're talking about driving wise, it'll take you less than an hour to go from the south of Gaza into Egypt. So Deuteronomy 28:68, why are they going to go back in ships? They don't need to go back in ships. Okay, where did I say I was going to go? Oh, so this is Saudi Arabia, right? This represents Arabia, which is a desert. This is where the Northern Army is going to be gathered. They're going to set up shop right here. The EC is the Euphrates and so forth. But let me do this. It doesn't take 3.5 years to do a circle down here, coming back over there. They're going to get gold and come back. Doesn't take 3 years. They had to go on the other side of the world. And the Northern Kingdom knew to come to the other side of the world because it's Solomon. So they already knew about Solomon, about Solomon's secret place where he got all his riches from. Remember, America was a paradise before Esau was a fertile land. It's still fertile. Middle America. The farms out there in the middle of America and in the South. Anyway, that's all I wanted to cover with that. I'm going to say shalom.